it kind of goes back to your first question about why is Western love or Western dating so difficult. A lot of women want a girlfriend with a dick, and a lot of men want a boyfriend with a pussy. Unfortunately,
wait, a lot of
men want a girlfriend with a dick, and a lot of men want a boyfriend with a pussy.
I don't think women will want neither.
Yeah, honestly,
what I mean by that is like, you know, like
I get what you try to
when I interview women, and I ask them, what type of man would you be? Let's say you woke up tomorrow, what type of man would you be? 9 times out of 10, they just say, I would be a male version of myself.
That's what they say?
That's what they say.
You know what the girls on this show say? Fuck boy, I'm fucking everything.
The first thing I'm doing is peeing. That's the first thing I'm doing.
Listen, I've had people say that too, but it's like we don't have it. Ironically, I think men actually value women more than women value men. Because when I ask men the same question, they say they would be a completely different person. They would be a better person. A lot of women say they'd be just
that goes right back to what I was saying.
The same niggas that they be like, oh, he ain't shit. That's what they want to be if they was a man. Like,
but if I ask that same dude, he'd be like, yeah, I'd be in the church, this, and that. Because we're looking for a woman to be like our right side.
Wait, hold on. Excuse me 1 second. That goes into one of the questions that you guys had. Like, what percentage of men experience genuine love from women?
Right.
So it's like, would you think like a lot of men get that? Or are you just saying like, we just out here just lying to y'all?
I think men love more authentically than women.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I don't think men get genuine love. It's very rare. I ain't gonna lie.
I always say the only way a man could get unconditional love from a woman or get close to that is when he meets her, when they both meet each other at that same level and they're building and growing from that. So like when you that high school love
before financial
exactly. I think that's the only way. And if you pass that time, it's all conditional. What it do? It's your boy Jew. I'm here with my crew. Welcome back to another episode of Dailyrapupcrew. I got my boy Ace here.
Yes, indeed. It's your boy Ace on the best show by far. And I'm the... Damn.
Run it back.
Yeah, we do take twos.
Oh,
when
take two?
No, hell no, nigga. I don't do no take twos. Anywho, we gonna start with the ladies and then we're gonna work our way around.
All right. So I'm the Queen of Spice. My name is Courtney Shav. I am the host of The Spicy Studios, and a platform, educational platform for sexual education. So,
okay.
Nice. Hi guys, it's your girl Maya B here, also known as Maya Black. I am a model. Gonna leave it at that for now. Yeah.
Okay, and our homie to the right. What up?
Yes, sir. What's up? My name's Alan. I'm the voice behind the channel We Need to Talk. And I'm excited, man.
Happy to have you, man. Flew out here. And
appreciate it, man.
I gotta watch how I say that. The niggas gonna think I flew you out.
Nah.
Everybody tuning in, make sure y'all like, subscribe. We got the second YouTube channel, right?
With the clips, know what I mean? Make sure y'all subscribe to that. And become a member, all that good shit.
Yeah, become green, you know what I mean?
And cut the merch, you know what I mean? Yeah, fleet, you know what I mean? Logic.
Dailyrapupcrew.co. Make sure you get it and go. You know what I'm saying? All right. Before we start with the topics, I do have a question, right? And I'm gonna start it off by saying, looking and thinking about the opposite sex, give me 2 words, the first 2 words that come to mind.
oof.
Is that scary out here?
No.
Just thinking and looking.
I'm just thinking.
Hold on.
I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna say femininity and beauty.
Okay.
Okay,
here we go. I'm gonna say strong.
Okay.
And
shit, yeah.
Leader?
Oh, I was just gonna say that. Mine is masculinity and leadership. That's what I usually look for.
Okay.
Or what do we look for? How
or just when
think?
The first 2 words that come to your mind when you think of a woman.
Chaos and creation.
Okay. Shit sound honest as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Ace?
Talk about it.
I'm gonna say elegance and beauty.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna front. Ladies, I don't know, look like y'all don't got nothing good to say about us, but I'm gonna keep it real. But,
Wait,
I'm just,
how did you get there? Yo, you jumped.
All right, let me get to the topics. You know what I'm saying?
It started off so
I am instigating, but all right. What impact has Western society has on the global dating life?
You know, I when that question was sent, I had to look up a couple of things because I knew this conversation happened years before this even taking place right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very different now. I think Western dating scene is more of hookup society.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's traveling to other parts of the world. And honestly, I don't like hookup. So I don't like hookup dating. I don't like casual sex. So it's like, I think that's the negative part of it. But I think the positive part of it is that you have access to other people, right? So before you just had whoever was around in town, right? If you're from a small town, it's whoever's around in town. Now you can go to the next town, or you can go to like two towns over.
Why?
You know?
Why is that positive?
I think that's positive. You know,
That shit sound crazy.
I'm asking why you think.
yeah, I think it's positive because what if your town is small? What if you don't have a lot of men in your town or a lot of women in your town? Now you get to go out and meet different other people. That's just my ticket. And you can even take it to like, even in the United States, the small towns around in the country, like those remote areas like South Dakota, you know? If they don't have a dating app, they're only dating the people who they grew up with, right? You don't think it's better that they have the option of meeting other people?
Nah, I think they got the recipe for success. Staying in that small ass. You coming out here, they just going around fucking. I don't know. So.
Or you getting flued out to get fucked. So, I mean.
What about you?
I agree. I'm half and half on that.
So elaborate with us.
For me, it's more or less like I wasn't born here. So growing up back home, I was born in Ghana. So over there, it's like traditions are a little different from traditions here. So growing up, it's like I still grew up in an African home, but you know, outside in school, you're learning a whole different ball game. And then when it came to dating, mostly everybody in my family married, settled down. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good. Like it's taking me a second to get there because whatever I'm used to dating, like she's saying, it's just a plethora. You know, it's not saying it's hard to choose from, but
even though we have the options, I don't think all the options are great out there. Because not great. We think we have options, but we really don't have options out there. Like that's where now is very small. Yeah. You have a vast pool, but then it's also like slim pickings too at the same time.
I want to ask you, how has it changed from, I guess, like that time to like now, modern day?
So for me, I like left Ghana when I was 8. So everything that I know from maybe seeing family members and even my own like parents and their relationship is like I'm just so used to a man just like controlling everything, right? From like top to bottom. Whereas here it's like women kind of have a say so in some sense, but not really, because then the lines get a little blurred. So,
do you think the women now, like the modern women in Ghana, probably is different?
Very different, because even if like when I went back home, like my family members looking at me like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why you not married yet? With like, what's going on?"
Still the same.
It's still the same over there, where it's like, well, then again, it's like certain culture, like I guess you could say like cultures and tribes still follow certain traditions. So it's like you can't really stray too much, but as they like to say, I'm American. So
all right, real quick, does that pressure makes you want to get married sooner or avoid getting married?
Maybe when I was a bit younger, there was a little bit of pressure because I'm like the oldest out of like, let's say like the 90s kids, like the oldest one. So it's like everyone after me basically got kids or they're married or stuff. So it's kind of almost like, it's not pressure. It was pressure back then, but now I'm like, listen, when it happened, it happened. I'm not really like rushing too much, but I guess for my dad, I'm the only like kid for him. So I guess he's kind of like, he's like, oh, what's up? You know, so it's kind of that.
I think when you get older, especially for me at least, as a woman, like I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think more about marriage and kids, because like I'm on this clock.
That's the problem.
And it's like clock. The older I get, the more chances I run into having like a terrible pregnancy.
Right.
And I don't want that.
Right.
And so it's like, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, okay, I'm dating, right? But I'm like, I want that person I'm dating. We need to be on the next step. Now, not like a lot of pressure.
You're dating with intent instead of just dating,
just making sure that like, okay, I'm doing this with a purpose, because I don't have time to be playing around with people. I don't.
At what age you think that pressure starts to hit?
30.
30. Okay.
Oof, 30.
Really? Maybe because of my family. I was feeling that at like 25, and I was like, y'all gotta chill.
Shout out to them.
Super early.
What about you, bro? What you think?
I think we don't want as many options as we think we do.
We don't.
We don't know.
So I work in UX design, and there's something called analysis paralysis, where if you have too many options, you'll make none. So I think what's happening, you know, with dating apps, and you can go to different cities and things like that, is like, because you always think there's a better dude or a better woman, you don't necessarily show up with your best self to what's available to you. Because you're always holding out for whatever is better. So it's a catch-22, because I'm also from West Africa, so you don't have as many options, and you think having more options makes your life better, but it kind of isn't. I think we need to focus on like making the best of the options that are available, and not always thinking the grass is greener on the other side.
No, that ass. Yeah.
You being a man from like an African family, right? What would you say about like, or what would your family say about you bringing like a regular American woman?
Well, my daughter's mom is American.
Okay, and how does that?
Basically American.
Yeah. Man, this is a deep question. Only because, like we were talking about downstairs about jollof rice. I'm honest.
Yeah.
Most African parents, if we're being honest, if we want to go there, they would actually prefer you bring home a white person.
What?
African-American.
Oh, rather than African American? I could believe that.
What?
Actually, you know, I'm not surprised.
I'm
not surprised.
Yeah, I got a couple of uncles.
That's
who are white.
not
Yeah.
fucking
It's messed up, because like we talk about like Uncle Tom's and racism and what it did to African Americans, but colonialism did a number on Africans. So a lot of Africans, they default to thinking white people are
Superior.
So it's more
Definitely.
colorism over there. Yeah, that's
so
the
much
problem.
more.
Yeah.
So like it goes from white people to Asians or Hispanic, and then black people.
Damn, we not even in the top 3?
Nope.
Come on.
Do you think?
Damn.
And
Do you
then
think-
it's
Fortunately, yeah.
Do you think that's because of how African Americans are portrayed like on TVs and like movies and stuff like that?
Well, so America's number one export is entertainment.
Entertainment.
So like what they see is the basketball and the rappers and the movie stars. But also, I would say, to put it on us a little bit, we don't focus as much on cultural education as y'all might think. Like a lot of Africans know our culture as far as our food and our clothes and things like that, but we don't necessarily know the context. So we don't consider y'all's context. Right? So we don't think about Jim Crow, or we don't think about, you know, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We don't think about that stuff. So we just look at it kind of like how Asian people look at it. Why are those niggas acting the way that they do?
Right.
But even though we have a kind of similar story, we don't make that same connection that, oh, this happened to them, then this happened to them, then this happened to them, and it's still happening. So that's why we have that same kind of mindset.
What about you, Ace? What do you think about
What was the question again?
how's Western society?
We traveled a little bit.
But how has Western society affected the dating culture?
Oh yeah, right. Like we say on the show all the time, man, the Western culture, the Western influence is vast. Like I think it's the biggest influence in the world, honestly. You know what I mean? So like you said, the biggest export is entertainment. So people are taking this in and mimicking it every day. So no matter where you go, you're gonna see a piece of the civilization in that culture. You know what I mean? So I think it has a big impact no matter where you go, honestly. Like, yeah.
I just want to, and look, I hate to point fingers, but this one, I could say that the biggest change is from like women getting so much power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, your head is turning, but
No, because like
because look,
I knew it was going to the gender wars. I knew it was coming.
Look, but we got to be honest, right?
So I'm gonna hear you out. So
I'm just saying,
trying to make the connection.
In the dating culture, right? I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, men stay the same. We chase pussy, We spend money. You get like I'm just saying we're the same. We go home.
Of course.
Some men have multiple women.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Some men stay in the house with their wives, but predominantly like it's just one set. That's it. You go to work. You chase pussy. I would say that, right? In the dating culture, women have changed from having this self-respect for themselves to just fucking or giving the pussy up or having, a lot of babies from different people. Let's be realistic, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's changing because like I'm even speaking to you, you said it didn't change much out there. I do think that influence will be a horrible reaction globally. If everybody had that mindset to say, hey, we out here, I don't know, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong.
50 on that, man.
Yeah,
because like,
just really quickly, I just want to speak on the having kids with multiple men. It takes two to have kids.
It does.
So if this is a woman that you see and they already have like a baby father or whatever, why, as a man, right? Why are you still like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna shoot the club up too?
No, you're right, and I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is, women give the access to life, right?
Right.
And whether a man doesn't want that kid or not, the woman ultimately makes that decision, right? And I'm not even going to end it there, right? I don't remember the exact percentage, but women are having children with the same small percentage of group of men. So I believe there's more men that doesn't have children than the men that do have children.
That's true.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
So and that goes back to like even the Umar shit. It's a poor selection. So you picking, you having a baby with a nigga just because you're trying to tie him down, or he not the right one, or hoping rather than vetting out a good man to build a family with. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So, and maybe I'm wrong for putting this higher standard on women because of what the image of a woman was like, I guess, past tense.
Yeah.
Which may be wrong of me, and I would apologize for that, but I'm just saying in society, now the access to a woman is so easy, I think that's a problem.
With more power comes more responsibility. That's how it always goes, you know what I mean? They control the access to sex and to pregnancy and having babies and all that. So if you got that power, you're gonna be held more responsible.
But that's why I was 50-50 on it, because I think the big difference with Western women is they're just more honest.
There you go.
Right.
That was literally what I was gonna say.
In West Africa, for instance, there are a lot of kids who they think is their daddy isn't actually their daddy.
That shit out here too. Yeah.
They don't have the technology to do the DNA test and stuff like that. But I do think
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, the shit happens. But I do think like what we can do is encourage women to be more honest about their preferences, because like you talked about, like 54% of men don't have kids. That's not necessarily.
You don't think they're being honest?
I was just gonna say we are, and we getting bashed for it from some men. So I don't know.
Back in the day, it was one dude had a whole bunch of wives, and that's what it was. Women always gravitate to a small group of men.
Right.
It's just now they won't admit it. Right. They are polygamous, but they won't call it that. They'll rather say, "Oh, he's my boyfriend," knowing that he got 3 other women.
Oh, okay.
Versus back in the day, like. Yeah, so and so, he got money, he got clout in the community, he's got 5 wives. That's what it is. Powerful men have never had just one woman. But nowadays, we have to pretend that that's who we are.
The crazy thing I don't think you're diving into is that the fact that even though all this stuff was happening, it was still a sense of respect of, not just having babies with everybody. Yeah. I think this shit is like spreading like COVID, you know what I'm saying? Every time you look at somebody,
they're not having babies with anybody. They still having babies with a select group of men. It's just that selection isn't based on quality anymore. Back then, it used to be,
and that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's just the way that they're vetting men these days. It seems
they're not.
They still are.
I love how they're talking like there's no way. I'm just waiting.
It's based on the wrong curriculum. Yeah. Like back then, it was his social standing. It was his projection in life, his economic value, if he was royalty, whatever the case may be. Now it's, oh, he the local drug dealer. Oh, he tall. He got potential. All kinds of bullshit. So that's the problem. It's not that a select group of men are having access. That's not new. It's who those select group of men are, because unfortunately, what I've been telling women is who you incentivize the procreation is who you're going to see more of.
But in that honesty that you called it, right? I don't think it's honesty. Some of it is just like following the trend.
No, I'm saying honesty compared to like women overseas.
Right.
Like, just being unabashedly, I'm a hoe and I'm proud and shit like that. That's what I'm talking about.
But that's follow. I don't take that as. I just I can't take that as
saying
honesty.
that the women overseas want to.
I'm saying that.
Or they do. Oh, they do. But they just.
Okay. I'm not just saying the women overseas. I'm saying our grandmas too.
Yeah,
I agree 1,000%.
My grandmother on my mom's side had a child with someone else, but we called him Willie Jr. because, we didn't want him to know that like that wasn't his father. So it's like it happens. It's not just in like Africa. It happens in. Talk to your grandmothers if they're still alive.
If
Talk to your grandmothers. Talk to them.
Yeah.
I understand.
Family secrets run deep. I have aunts that had fucked each other's husbands.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like.
And that's why, like, when some dudes, especially like in the manosphere, they talk about the good old days. I'm like, man, y'all niggas weren't paying attention.
That's a fact.
It's not what you think it was. Like,
it really wasn't.
we talk about how grandpa, he got a kid in Vietnam somewhere. Your brother is your half brother, but you don't know that.
Right.
No, that's
right. And they're not
He came back from Vietnam. He had a kid that he didn't leave like in her belly when he left.
Right.
We don't talk about those things.
Nope.
All right, let me get to this next topic. Which contributes more to a better society? Higher standards among men or women?
Women.
I'm just gonna answer that woman off the back. Listen to what you named in the first three. Sex.
Yeah.
What else? Y'all chasing money and what else?
Peace. Bro.
Sex and peace.
Well,
Peace.
after I nut, I want to
it.
chill.
You see what I'm saying?
Nah,
That's it.
you
The
right.
day is over for you. Started off the next day. So for me, I'm going with women. Yeah.
I'm gonna say women as well. Only because if you think about a household, who is the person that's influenced the household? It's usually the woman. The woman's usually influencing the household. So if we have higher standards in our household, I think in general, like we would have higher standards. It would be better for society in general. So that's how I thought about it.
I look at it as we have a little bit more structure.
Okay. Ace?
I think we're smarter because a lot of men do dumb shit. Like you've seen like what they say, like why men, like why women live longer than men because it's just like certain like just dumb shit.
And I don't think that
it's not
smarter though.
It's not because we're working
smarter, but
it's not because we're working harder. like we gotta go to work every day. We ain't got nobody paying our bills. None of that. We don't get to go to therapy. We don't get to cry to our friends. All that shit. But anyway, yeah, I would say if women had higher standards, it'd be better for society. Because I think men have upped their standards for women, and I don't think it's changing. Nothing out here I ain't gonna hold you. So I think yeah, women have to have the highest standards. So yeah, they just gotta make it harder because otherwise
It's just easy. Like it is now?
Yeah, it's just gonna be easy, and ain't nobody going to commit. Ain't gonna be no families. Ain't gonna be no marriages. None of that shit. Like,
what about you?
Question. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
I'm still thinking. So
Okay, good. When it comes to marriage, why is it that I'm just posing a question out there, but when it comes to like making someone being official, whether marriage or in a relationship,
right?
I'm wondering why we always depend on men to make that move.
What do you mean?
Like we all like as women, we always wait for men to be like ask us to be their girlfriend. You know, like instead of just coming to them like, hey, like we've been doing this for a while, like I think we should get together. Like women don't do that. Why do we always wait for men to do it?
I mean, technically we do. And then they be like, oh, that's not what I was, it's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah, sure. They'll be like, oh,
see, so it's like, I
mean,
can get what your accent, but maybe because as women, we're supposed to look at men to lead. So maybe it's like
I think it was like the chivalrous
You know,
thing. Like,
yeah,
I
that
mean,
part too. It's like not to take that away.
it was like a
from
gender role kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like men was courting the women. Women generally don't court men. So
No.
so it's not like I'm gonna court you and then you're gonna ask me to be like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right. But also just like, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But also just like, I guess my question is like, how long does it take for any of you guys to ask a woman to, one, marry you or be in a relationship with you?
Is there like a time
It's
period?
not no
or-
set
I know
time
no
period.
sign,
Yeah.
that time period, but like
Mhm.
usually you've been in relationships before. You've been in
A couple,
few.
Mhm.
couple.
Right. So what was that average?
Or was it something that just
It wasn't the same, honestly. I've been in probably like 3 relationships in my life.
Adult relationships?
yeah.
now when you say like how long? Usually the span of it changes everything.
How long? What?
Were those relationships like more than a year?
The average is like 2 years, I would say.
Okay.
But some I jumped in like 4 months in, and others took longer. So you know what I mean? It's just how the vibe is going, the feeling I'm having. Like
The sex was good.
the head was good. You know what I mean?
You
Stuff
That
like
was the
that.
something.
It got factors that you got
I'ma hold on to
that you
this one
got
just
you
a
got to
little
take into
longer.
consideration. You know what I mean? Right.
Not motivation.
But also, it's a certain shame that goes on a woman that has to ask a man to be in a relationship or to marry them. There's no shame on
as
us.
a woman, I'm never asking a man to marry.
See,
Never
you never gonna hear a man say, "Oh, as a man, I'm not gonna ask a woman." So
I'm not-
so that's
I'm not gonna do
why to answer your question, that's why it is the way it is.
But I will have the conversation about, okay, we've been doing this for, I don't know, a year.
That's what I'm saying. That's the
We've
typical.
been doing this for a year. What are we doing?
Right. You apply the pressure for what you want, and men apply the pressure for what they want. That's how it goes.
And I think women should do that because if you were the dude and he's not on your level or your mindset, he's wasting your time.
He's over here shaking his head like,
Yo,
no.
I don't think they should do that, man.
I
Because if
think
you
so.
gotta do that,
Because
then
That's
But
what I'm
then-
like.
but
You're
look,
just
see-
emasculating him at that point. Like,
if you're dating with a purpose, why wouldn't you want to ask that person? Like, why wouldn't you want to find out where we
that's
going?
where, yeah.
But I don't
I
think it's
believe you could
emasculating to
have
ask a
that
man
conversation when y'all first start dating, but to pressure him into
No, I
doing
didn't
that-
say
no
pressure.
Oh, so
I
what
didn't
you
say
saying?
It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are we doing?
No,
now?
what are we doing? That's
now?
pressure.
Oh, wait. I'm thinking you
That's not pressure.
That's different. That's different.
pressure.
What are we doing?
Yes. What you
It's your
mean?
demeanor, your delivery, everything was different.
What did he just say he want? He want the nut and peace. After that nut, what we doing? That's not no peace. That's pressure.
I'm not saying doing it after you have sex. Like,
It don't
what?
matter what you doing.
When you start asking more
Pressure,
during
like-
sex, then would that be a little easier blow? No?
I don't mind.
I'm just saying, dog.
No.
Damn. So what
I
are
think
we?
it's fine to ask the question before you're dating someone. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm heading for. Are you looking for the same thing?
Right.
Yes.
When y'all start dating, that should
So
be
why can't you
established.
but why can't you check in a few times and be like, okay, are we
Men
still on
don't
the
check
same
in.
page? Like,
That
I
don't
like checking
happen.
in.
You
I
like-
like checking in like a couple of months. Like, hey, how are you feeling about this? Like,
But wait, Courtney, agree with me. Don't you think that women do that more? Men don't check in.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I like to check
That's
in. So
not
the guy
true.
that I'm dating, I want them to
I
check
haven't
in
met
with
the-
me.
Mhm.
You check in?
I check in all the time.
See?
Okay.
I'm very vocal. Why you said no though?
No, it's to go back to the first question about
Yeah.
Western dating. I think what makes it complicated is like we're prioritizing romance above all else.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in the day, marriage wasn't about romance.
It was a contract,
It was
still a
about
yeah.
like, yo, this family got some land, that family got some land. Let's join our resources. It was about I have to fuck how you feel. I got to convince your dad to like me, right? So nowadays, it's like, oh, it's just about two people who like each other, and that's part of the reason why shit doesn't work. And that's also part of the reason you have to ask questions like that because there's no reason for us being together. There's nothing that we're building. We're not trying
Right.
to. I don't want kids. You don't want kids. We might as well just date forever, right? And
Right.
and I think going back to having too many options, people are stuck because they want the optics of the traditional institutions like marriage, but they don't want the responsibility to come. with it.
actually
I don't
doing
want
it.
you to meet my mom or my dad.
You know people that say they don't want to meet their parents?
Yeah.
Are they
Some-
dating?
Some people, yeah, they
They
we
never
going
met the
low-
other
we
side
going
of
to
the family,
Vegas, you
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Start a
We
whole
gonna do
new
our
life.
thing, and yeah, that's the
interesting.
West. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of parents ain't in people's lives nowadays. I don't know, but even going back to the first topic, I'm at the question.
Favorites?
Yeah, so I do agree with the fellas.
I still gotta answer that.
I even want to take an even wilder thought, because I know women like to say how much you guys make now and make more than men or whatever. And I still feel like, I think that no matter how much a woman makes, let's say you make more than me, I still think that I should be the head of the household.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. My hands are broken.
Yeah,
I tell men, like, my hands are broken. Like,
I appreciate you saying that.
Like, go ahead, baby.
You know, but women, you know, usually feel like we're taking something away from them when we say that. And I appreciate that. And
Nope.
I
can't reach the can on top. I can't do it.
If I'm the head, you're still the neck. You know,
Right.
I heard Fantasia even said something like that.
That's from my big fat Greek wedding.
Yeah. Oh, well, I heard Fantasia say it, but
It's from
she's
my
like,
big
and
fat
it's,
wedding.
you can't move without one or the other, and I agree with it 1,000%.
Yeah.
But are y'all dating the men that make less than y'all?
I have.
And would you do it again?
Definitely would. Because
Okay.
for me, it was, money is not an object for me, or like is not priority. I always prioritize character first. So for him, it was just, okay, I genuinely loved him. It wasn't because of like money or anything like that. Whereas most women would look at me like, girl, you crazy. Because like, what? He couldn't do what? And it's like,
my only issue with it, and that's just the man that I did date, he felt insecure about it.
after some time.
But the thing is that I've never brought up, oh, that's why I make more money, or I try to throw money in his face. He just had that innate insecurity because
Every woman says that, you know what I'm saying?
but it's
I don't think it is insecurity on my end. I think it was just more or less, I just kept doing this, and he wasn't used to probably dating a girl like me. Like, he was probably used to dating girls that just, you know, probably coasted on the same level. Whereas me, I'm just chasing the next thing, like trying to just improve every day and get better.
I can't see how that's
what do you say that you hear women say all the time?
that men are insecure if they make more.
This man was.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that the other men I dated
Yeah.
were, but this
Yeah.
specific man was very insecure about it. And I couldn't do anything about it because like I said, I never threw the money in his face. I never was like, oh, I'm gonna pay for dinner. Like, no, again, my hands is broken. Lead. But like there were certain things that I caught that I was just like, okay, he's insecure about this.
We got you.
Yeah.
In certain scenarios, and I'm not saying your scenario, successful women don't know how they're acting to a person that they feel like they're better than. If you get what I'm saying. So
Because
sometimes
I don't think they genuinely like that
subconsciously.
person.
Yeah.
they
I
be
mean,
like,
honestly, I don't think because if you genuinely love and like someone, that wouldn't be anything. That'd be it.
That's not even a thought.
Right.
Yeah.
all right,
Until it's time to spend some money and he doesn't want to spend it.
Because he don't got
And
it.
it's no, I'm saying it's time to spend y'all's money, but you make the majority of y'all's money. And he's like, no, we're not gonna spend that. And you're like, nigga, you bring $40,000.
No, wait a minute. I
bring
literally just had a
$100,000.
conversation like that earlier today where it was like, with my ex, it was more or less like, hey, I want to do this. What do you think? Or it'd be like, oh, no, I still let him lead in some sense, even though I was making maybe the majority of the money throughout the relationship. So it was like,
You might be the exception.
this is what I'm saying. I'm like the 1%, like the black unicorn, the African unicorn over here. I don't know.
look, because y'all diving into the next topic, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe, all that good shit. Do women prefer a partner who is equally yoked or a partner who is financially superior?
That
And
word
that's-
superior is scary.
Superior.
Yeah.
No, that's a fact. I mean, because you have to think about it, like on a biological level, like you alluded to earlier. Women have a finite time to have children, and they have a finite number of viable eggs to have those children, and it decreases as they age. So with that being said, whereas like me, you know what I'm saying, we have millions of sperm at any given time. So that's why women are so selective. It's more than just, oh, he tall, he handsome, whatever the case may be. I have a finite number of opportunities to procreate. I want to pick the best possible guy to do that. Whereas we have enough to throw it away. So,
But do you think they prefer a man that's equally yoked?
that's what I'm saying. Like left to their devices, women want a man who's better in every sense. I want him to be taller, smarter, closer to God, more connected, more clout, more.
My thing is like, if I can't learn from my man, I don't want him. If I can't learn from you, I don't want you.
And the only time it's different is like, for instance, you'll see pastors, for instance, with a wife who makes more money than them, but he's so superior on a spiritual aspect that it overcompensates for the fact he doesn't make as much money. So you have to so he might be broke, but he fine as hell, or he handsome as hell, or he got a whole bunch of clout, or whatever the case may be.
Or he's slanging dick.
Or he's, you know what I'm saying? So it's got to be something.
You said that if you can't learn from them, but a lot of people equate like your finances to how much you know. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, like men and women, like, okay, she could do this.
Yeah. No, when I'm talking about learning is just how you carry yourself, how are you in certain situations, how you treat your family, how you treat the people around you, just your emotional intelligence.
How you even carry yourself alone.
Just like your intelligence in general. Like, I want to learn from you. Like, if we can have a conversation and I learn one thing from you, like, that's attractive to me. That's what I like.
Oh, you like sapiosexuals too, huh?
I do. Like, having a meaningful conversation is what gets me there. Like, yeah, the sex is great. Oh my God, wow. But like, if you can like stimulate me mentally, oh my God,
it's over.
That's a whole nother level for me. And I don't think a lot of
you over there ad-libbing, it's over for me.
I'm just saying, no, because it is like this. What are we doing here? There's no point. And can't get past the sex. It's no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So like to answer your question, going back to your question, to me it's like it'll be superior, but in other aspects if it's not financial. You know what I'm saying?
Would you settle with a dude that got the money but don't got shit else?
No.
Ooh.
Most women would.
Like the sex is bad or something?
And we act as if they would, but yo, rich niggas be the ones getting cheated on out here.
Yo, they get violated.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, they get violated.
And the thing about it is, like, a lot of times it's because they didn't develop all those other social skills.
Right.
Right. So like,
they didn't care.
Exactly. As somebody who works in tech, I know a whole bunch of dudes who work in tech. They make a whole bunch of money. They have no bitches at all.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Because they don't know how to talk. They don't know how
socially
to carry
awkward, yeah.
Socially awkward. They have no presence about themselves.
No.
So unfortunately, if you walk into a room with a bum, but he's got all those other auxiliary aspects, he's gonna win 10 times out of 10.
That's why the pool boy be smashing their wife.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
That's a fact.
You got swag with that pussy.
All right, let me get to my next topic. Can individuals genuinely improve over time, or do you develop traits that become permanent?
Okay.
I'm going with the traits becoming permanent because you could just be stuck in your ways and thinking you're improving and you're not. That could just be a self-reflection, not someone, like other people looking at you. So you're like, no, I'm good. Like, but you're just stuck. Now, actually developing traits or certain things and, it's like a routine. You do it after some time, it just becomes a part of your character or like part of you.
Definitely.
So I'm on that side.
When I saw this question, I kind of went back to what Erykah Badu said. The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. And for me, when I think of it, it's like, if if you're someone who's open to learn and want to know things or how to handle things differently, you're open to that. You're smart enough to know that, okay, I don't know everything. So I might feel that I am a good person, but how does that reflect in my life? Like, do I have people close around me? Do I have someone I can call on? Or do people gravitate towards me or do I repel people? So I think for me, some people can evolve because we are human and we are going to evolve, but then I know some people who are just really just stuck in their ways. Like, I feel like once you reach a certain age, you're just that way. Like, if you ever seen old people,
yeah, they just
they're stubborn as fuck. What age do you have to be that fucking stubborn? So it's like there's a cutoff point, and I don't know what that cutoff point is. But until we get to that cutoff point, I feel like a lot of people do go through the changes, can change their traits. But once you hit that age, I don't know what happens.
What about you, Ace? What you think?
That's an interesting question, man. I do think people could change, but it comes back to, are you willing to take accountability of what you need to change? You know what I mean? So if you're not willing to take accountability, then you can't see what your issue is.
That's also tricky though, bro.
Why?
Because if you say that, right, a lot of people hold themselves accountable for what they do wrong, but then they feel like you should accept it.
No, that's not.
Or they just don't care.
That's not,
Or they don't care.
But that's not full accountability then. I mean,
right.
that's just acknowledging. That's not taking accountability. You know what I mean?
They're like, oh, I know I'm crazy, but I'm trying to change.
Somebody gonna deal with it. Like, if that's where you at, then you're not gonna change.
But not accountability.
Exactly.
That's
I think accountability is key, man. And I do think women struggle more with accountability.
Absolutely. No.
Women do be more stuck in their ways than men. Men are willing to change and compromise more as they get older and stuff. Well, I mean in general, but women.
Because I was like, wait a minute, you might need to fix
women
that.
When they get older, then they want to take accountability and they might be more willing to change because that clock ticking. I mean, they trying to get married.
I think it's based off on how their parents and their selection changes is when they really take that realization.
When them looks start to fade, you know what I mean, and the same people that was trying to holler at you ain't holler at you no more, you know what I mean, then you might want to start, you know what I mean, watching NBA games or something, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You might want to start doing things that
you would never do.
What you trying to attract going like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think people change, but it takes a certain pressure or a push, you know what I mean? They're not just going to change just because they want to, like most people, I would say.
Yeah.
What about you, bro?
When I found out, this was 2020, when I found out I was going to be a dad, I was doing a whole bunch of research, man, because I was like, yo,
what you was researching?
We can't fuck this little girl out. That's what I was focused on. I came across this article that said 97% or 93% of who we are as an adult is dictated between the age of 0 and 7. So if some fucked up shit happens between 0 and 7, the chances of you transforming the trajectory of your life after that is 0 to like it's slim, right? Now, I think that's a conversation about Black people in general and our trauma, but most people don't change.
You don't think with therapy people can't change? And being honest with their therapist and actually doing the work.
But see, that's the thing. I don't think what we see now is therapy. I think it's pop therapy. I think motherfuckers just going to therapy to be able to hold a card and say, I go to therapy, but they're not actually doing work.
But I'm not talking about those
But
people.
that's the majority of people.
Right.
So I think with like psychotherapy, if they're taking medication and stuff like that too, yes, they can change. But with that being said, the majority of people are not going.
You gotta take medication and shit to change.
Some people do. I was
bipolar.
I mean, okay,
when I was like when I had anxiety and depression, I was put on medication.
Well, I mean, stuff like that.
So I would say like, let's say you're a dude and you're dating a woman and you're like, you know, is she gonna change? I think you have to make peace with the reality that she doesn't, and vice versa. If you're a woman, you should be dating for projection, not potential.
Right.
Because you can trick yourself into believing he's going to be whatever you need him to be. But you need to see what path is he on in life. And are you okay with who he's going to become? Because unfortunately, most people don't change. Well, they deviate, they go like this, but they stay on the same lane.
I don't know if I
But I want to preface it by saying I'm a man, so I'm cynical. I have to think worst case scenario.
Yeah, because I'm like...
protect, but as a woman, you might think...
I don't think that... I don't agree with that. I feel that I've seen people in my own life truly do a 180 because something may have happened in their life.
Shout out to you for using that saying right, though. A lot of people be like, oh, he did a whole 360. He did the same shit.
I did that.
But I've seen people change their lives completely. You know, and unfortunately, some of our families, addiction is a thing. And I've seen people change their whole character, like before they were addiction, like how they were while they were during the addiction, and then afterwards, still the same. It's still a different person. Like just, and I've seen that.
Something else.
I've seen that. So that's why I'm just like, I don't truly believe that people are stuck the way that they are.
Well, let me rephrase it. I think it's possible. I don't think it's plausible. I think they're the exception, unfortunately. Right?
But not even just people with addiction. I've seen other people outside of that too. Yeah.
And to be fair, like I would rather somebody who thinks like you to teach my daughter than somebody who thinks like me. Right? I want somebody who's a little bit more idealistic. Yeah.
But I think both should be taught. Because I think
being cynical has its pros and cons.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I like women.
Yeah.
So I'm a man, and I bring. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's the balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, do you think like when you had your daughter, that was when maybe you had a shift? Because what were you like prior to her?
Why you don't think having
Like,
a daughter changed?
like that's what I was gonna say. You don't think that changed you in a sense?
I'm sure.
Now that we talk about it,
big,
I'm leaning more towards
Really?
what she's saying, bro. Yo, it's a lot.
Oh God, please!
There's a lot of things in your life that can happen that can change
like,
you.
yo,
Bro.
my
I ain't
daughter,
gonna
you
lie.
hit her
It
a
is.
lot,
Children
especially
is
as a
Having
man.
kids definitely changes you, bro.
Listen,
Maybe she ain't.
It
You know?
changed me in the sense that like it's not about me no more, and I have to prioritize her well-being and her best interest.
Mhm.
But as far as like change my personality, change my demeanor and shit like that, no.
Yeah.
I've always been this dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you would
Maybe you thought that was the best version of yourself to support your daughter. You know what I mean? So maybe you didn't feel like you had to change in order to be what she needed.
Now, if he didn't, he wouldn't have done that research. He'd have been like, "Yeah, I got this. Let her come."
No, I think we're misunderstanding like what I mean by that. Like,
so what kind of change are you referring to?
Yeah.
Because
I'm referring to like, let's say I was a bum before my daughter.
Right.
I had my daughter and I stepped my shit up. No, I've always been this dude.
Okay.
Like she didn't put a fire under my belly or anything.
So how, nah,
You will,
no,
so
no.
you will
wait,
agree
wait,
that
wait.
children do change you because you just made the.
I think.
How could you always be that dude if you was a bum?
No, that's what I'm saying. If
No,
I was a bum,
if it
I was
wasn't
never
a
a
You
bum.
never.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay,
what
okay.
I'm saying. But I've heard dudes say, I used to be a bum, then I had my daughter and
And then
I
I
stepped my shit
stepped
up.
up.
Okay.
Right.
I
So
think that's
that's a
the
change.
exception.
Okay.
I think that's
Oh.
the exception. I don't think that's the rule. I think what most people do is when they experience something like that, they change periodically. They change for a short period of time because they got all the momentum and the high from whatever it is that they're feeling. But it's not who they are. So eventually they go right back
that's
to
a
who they are.
deviation you're talking about. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about vibrating from here to vibrating from
Same
here. That's the
frequencies,
change that I'm
okay.
talking about.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I would agree with him.
Yeah.
I think I changed when I had my kids too. All right, let me get to this last topic because we running out of time. Damn, which one do I want to do?
Give us a good one.
I hope it's not that last one.
All right,
Do that last one.
It's the last one. That's the one.
Remember the last
All right.
one.
Do people perceive individuals as a real man or woman only when there are advantages
Why?
or benefits that involves them?
You see what I'm saying?
Y'all don't have to come back to me.
I really wanted to skip this one because it was more or less like that's almost like I asked the question, what do men consider a real woman? Like, what do you guys or you like? Because everyone's probably going to be different. So let me ask that question: what do you guys think real women are? They're supposed to be.
Honestly, I would just say a woman that's nurturing, patient, compassionate, loving, feminine,
Okay.
that can cater to me, you know what I'm saying, and my children at the same time. And know how to separate the love between, my children and me.
Okay.
I don't want to be on the same scale or competing against my kids. I think sometimes women feel like they have to love their kids more
than the
than
a man.
But yeah.
What was the question again?
The
So,
woman
like-
do not shit.
I
Do
want to hear exactly.
Like,
how you
because the
said
way
it.
that it's
do
questioned,
people
yeah.
use real? Oh, that's a real man. Or that's a real woman.
Yeah.
When the situation is benefiting them, like
So you're saying that it does because it's benefiting you. That's what makes them a real woman. Because you just described things that benefit you.
right.
So are you saying that she's a real woman because she's doing these things and it benefits me?
But I also mentioned qualities that she should have as herself.
Right, but they still benefit you. A nurturing woman still benefits you.
More or less
Got
her
a point,
children.
man.
But yeah, I agree.
But a
Yeah.
nurturing woman's gonna benefit you.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna come home to a hard rock, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey babe, how was your day? Right? That's what you're gonna come home to. And not, can you do the dishes? Right?
I mean, what? If
I mean, but
I think all this stuff benefits you.
But would the opposite of what he's saying be considered a real woman though? Like if she wasn't nurturing, would she be a real woman? Because naturally that's supposed to be
And I'm not arguing that. I'm saying
okay.
I'm not arguing it. What I'm saying is that because it benefits us, that's why we're saying it's a real man and real woman. Because he just described things that benefits him.
It benefits herself as well too. I don't see how those qualities doesn't benefit her.
Well, of course they do, but I'm saying the question is not does it benefit her? It's does it benefit?
I guess that's why I asked like.
But you gotta separate
like,
what's supposed to be, what's considered natural for a woman or a man, and what's beneficial. Like nurturing is supposed to be natural, but it's also beneficial. So if he did say it, he's just saying was naturally a woman.
Okay, so then I pose the question. What are some things that makes a real woman that benefits you, but is not in their nature, in a woman's nature?
I get what you're trying to ask.
It's everything I would add would be the same shit. Because even if you say people like, independent woman, blah, blah, blah. I want my woman to be independent as well. You get what I'm saying? So some men would say, I don't want no independent woman. You know, what's wrong with her being independent? That's a quality that some people would say they wouldn't want in a woman, but.
Yeah, I'm just, the reason why I'm asking these questions is because I just feel that on both sides, we're benefiting it.
Yeah.
And that's why we say real man, real woman. It's a benefit regardless.
All right, but then we get down to things like, if he don't pay bills, he's not a real man.
That's what I was asking. Like,
okay.
On the women's side.
If he don't
change a tire, he not a real man.
so then we get down to these things. It's like, all right, come on now. Like that's what's defining a man. Like if he changed the tire, that.
Because certain women go off like traditional standards, like for what you look for.
If he would have said cooking or cleaning.
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
Yeah.
That would have been beneficial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
You
not.
did not say
you
that.
know what I mean? Even though it was.
But then some men look at women that can't cook, like, or
Not being a real
like,
woman.
then that's why I was asking, like, what? Because everyone is different. You know?
I guess.
So that
I guess it's
question is like, I
subjective
think it's
at the
more
end of the day.
individual based.
Yeah.
Right.
What you consider a real woman.
You can't blanket statement this. Like you can't.
It's open-ended.
But that's what makes it so difficult. Like we have 50 different definitions of masculinity and femininity because it went away from being defined by your community to being defined by your partner. And partners
or society now.
Social
media.
It's not even society because society can't agree on what a woman is.
Right.
A dude won Woman of the Year with Virgin. And so like because what I think about is like, you know, in my culture back in the day, let's say I wanted to marry you, right?
You got $175K. That's my dowry.
Yeah. So before I pay that, there is a period where you have to come stay at my house. And when I say my house, not my house, but the family
house.
compound.
Yeah.
And it's not just, you know, to see you or whatever, but it's so that the women of my family can evaluate you. Because it's shit that they can see that I might not be able to see. Oh, she laughs too much around men. You know what I'm saying?
They vet you, yeah, that's true.
She's too, when the women are helping out or whatever the case may be, she's not helping. You know, so before it used to be, how is she evaluated by my community, by my tribe? But now, like, the standards are just all over the place. And similarly, that's why women just, if you do something he don't, I don't like, you not a good man. Like, what's her name? B. Simone was talking about Martin Luther King is not a great man just because of some
let's not talk about her,
infidelities.
You see what I'm saying? Where the reality is, men are defined. Men have always been defined by the legacy they leave, not all the little stuff.
Right.
Whereas women are defined by the type of household they create. Right. But again, we can't agree on that, so we keep debating what is a good man, what is a good woman.
The lines are blurred.
Even when like on TikTok is this guy that is like a sassy list. So everything that a woman says if a man does is sassy. Yeah. So if you look at this list, you can't do nothing but go to work, pay bills, and die. Like that's it, bro. That's it.
And die.
So it's like
crazy.
So if you want to be a real man, that's all you can do in life. Like,
that's a fact.
And what's the point of the list? Like, what are they trying to?
The list.
It's so basically women on Twitter. It's like you like if you're not a real man if you do this, you're not a real man. And so they'll add it to the list.
Like
and it's a ridiculous list. Like you're not a real man if you can't eat food, like you don't eat fruit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't.
If you're on the phone with your homeboys, or if you got a group chat, or if you go to the movies with your
just
it's a little
ridiculous shit.
It kind of goes back to your first question about why is Western love or Western dating so difficult. A lot of women want a girlfriend with a dick, and a lot of men want a boyfriend with a pussy. Unfortunately,
Wait, a lot of
men want a girlfriend with a dick, and a lot of men want a boyfriend with a pussy.
I don't think women will want neither.
Yeah, honestly,
and what I mean by that is like, you know, like
I get what you try to
when I interview women, and I ask them, what type of man would you be? Let's say you woke up tomorrow. What type of man would you be? 9 times out of 10, they just say, I would be a male version of myself.
That's what they say?
That's what they say.
You know what the girls on this show say? Fuck boy, I'm fucking everything.
That's the first thing I'm doing.
Listen, I've had people say that too, but it's like we don't have it. Ironically, I think men actually value women more than women value men. Because when I ask men the same question, they say they would be a completely different person. They would be a better person. A lot of women say they'd be just
that goes right back to what I was saying.
The same niggas that they be like, oh, he ain't shit. That's what they want to be if they was a man.
But if I ask that same dude, he'd be like, yeah, I'd be in the church, this, and that. Because we're looking for a woman to be like our right side.
Wait, hold on. Excuse me 1 second. That goes into one of the questions that you guys had. Like, what percentage of men experience genuine love from women? Right. So it's like, would you think like a lot of men get that, or are you just saying like we just out here just lying to y'all?
I think men love more authentically than women.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I don't think men get genuine love. It's very rare. I ain't gonna lie.
I always say the only way a man could get unconditional love from a woman or get close to that is when he meets her, when they both meet each other at that same level and they're building and growing from that. So like when you that high school love
before financial
exactly. I think that's the only way. And if you pass that time, it's all conditional.
Exactly.
But that's not just women.
I was gonna say some people will disagree.
Just in general, we don't know how to love men.
Yeah.
No.
Just in general. Yeah. As a society, we don't know how to love men.
And even when you said that, that's back to when I was saying, I think, you know, I keep women in this higher standard that just unrealistic sometimes. But we about to get up out of here.
Do the same thing, so
yeah.
Unrealistic standards of men, so
yeah.
It was because
it's a shit show, isn't it? I'm like, this.
We going toe and toe at this point.
Yeah, but we were taught, and it goes back to the whole red pill thing. Like a lot of boys were taught that women were sugar and spice and everything nice, and then you grow up and you get some pussy and you realize, no.
2023, evil bitches, rise up.
You know what I'm saying? They just as bad as us and the whole nine. And
damn sure was knocking off some wives, but
man, all right. Like Eli was saying, we gotta get the fuck up out of here.
Yes, sir. Real quick, you know, give us y'all IGs or handles that y'all want people to follow you.
Once again, guys, it's your girl. That's Maya B.
The model.
I'm Courtney Shaw, COURTNEY_SHAV, the Queen of Spice.
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram at WNTTalk, YouTube WNTTalk. That's about it.
We had a talk, yeah.
Make sure y'all follow, subscribe.